So today I'm going to show you how to tumble pudding stones in just 3 days. So this is something my friend Chuck came up with. Chuck has a place on Drummond Island, which is one of the best places in Michigan to find pudding stones, and he's done a lot of stuff with pudding stones. He makes some really nice jewelry, he tumbles them, he does all kinds of stuff with them. Please check out Chuck's Facebook page, especially if you're interested in buying some rocks. People have asked me if I sell my stuff on the internet, and I don't, and I really don't plan to. But Chuck does, and he does really nice work, so check out the link in the description below. So a pudding stone is a conglomerate rock that's found here in Michigan. This is quartzite, the white part here, and then the red parts are jasper. And there's other rocks in here like chert, and I'm not sure what all the different little rocks are. But they're a pretty rock. A lot of people around here like them a lot. I have a couple of end cuts here, and I ground off the edges just because they were sharp on my flat lap, which is just a little grinder. And so just took off a little bit there. That way they won't be scratching up the other rocks when they go through. So anyhow, the plan here is to put them in a vibratory tumbler. I have a Lotto tumbler. I'll put them in here with some ceramic media. And in the first stage, they're going to run through 24 hours of 500 grit aluminum oxide. And then they're going to go for another day in 1000 aluminum oxide. And finally, one day in aluminum oxide polish. And after that, they're going to come out really shiny, but they'll still be the same shape. So like there's a deep hole right there, there's pits all over this thing. Those will all still be there, but the rock will look like it's wet even though it's dry. So they'll keep pretty much exactly the same shape and just look really, really shiny. So first stage is put them in the Lotto with some 500 grit aluminum oxide. Alright, so these are going to get a tablespoon of borax and then a half teaspoon of 500 grit aluminum oxide. Well, it's been 3 days and they're all finished. I decided not to show you how I change grit each day because every day it's the same thing. I add 1 tablespoon of borax and then a half teaspoon of whatever grit I happen to be using for that day. So in between grits, I was really careful to clean them out really, really well in the sink. I run them under water. I use a toothbrush. I pick out any little ceramics that might get stuck in the holes, but I really scrub them well. And then I throw them back into the Lotto tumbler for about maybe an hour with borax and a little extra water. I just add water until the motion in the tumbler slows down a little bit. So maybe a quarter cup or so. And that gives them a good scrubbing before the next stage so I don't accidentally carry grit onto a finer stage. So this is what they look like. Hopefully the light's shining on there well enough that you can see that they're very, very shiny. These are completely dry. There's no coating or anything on there. They've just been smoothed out by the tumbler. The end cuts do show some saw marks on there, but I don't think they look that bad. If I had a saw that cut a little smoother, you probably wouldn't see those at all. Here's the other end cut. So the difference between this 3-day tumble and a tumble that might take like 3 months, this is one that was in the tumbler much, much longer. And it's going to be completely rounded, smoothed out. There's no holes, there's no lumps on it. where this one looks pretty much like it did when it went in, except that it's shiny. So that's the only difference. With these, they go in 1 day or 1 week at a time in the rotary tumbler, and once a week I pull them out. I look over every rock, I set aside any that are done, and the rest of them go back in for another week. So some rocks might be in for 3 or 4 weeks, and other rocks might be in for 2 or 3 months. It just depends when they're ready, and then they go on to the next stage and pretty much do all the stages in a lotto like these did. They do get a 220 grit stage. I'll write all this in the description if you're getting confused. I'm getting confused. So you can see what happens. But there's the difference between 3 days and several months. This is the last batch I pulled out. You can see a few more. That one doesn't have a whole lot of jasper in, just a little bit on the end there. So once again, these take a whole lot longer. I prefer this look to the other look, but there are people that like the rocks to look as natural as possible, but just want them to look wet all the time, and that's what the other method does. So I'll show you some before and after pictures here at the end, and thanks for watching.